right, welcome everybody to our Women's International Day event. If you do not know where you are in the Zoom room for the PVAMU Women's International event. We are so happy to see you, and if you have friends, please just tell them to come on over, share the Zoom link with them, and we're just expecting to see everybody so that we can have some fun tonight and we can learn something from these wonderful women that will be sharing their stories. So, welcome. My name is Chantal Mcinto, and I will be the moderator for your session today. I am a student in the Juvenile Justice Department on campus, and so I'm happy to be here. So, we're going to start by just telling you a little bit about the purpose of Women's International Day and why we saw it fit to have this event. All right, so like I said, this is hosted by the PVAMU International Program on campus. That's the department that usually has all the flags, if you don't know where it is. This event is hosted by that department, and it's in relation to the purpose. Of course, International Women's Day is a global holiday, and it's celebrated annually, really, on March 8th. To commemorate the cultural, political, and socioeconomic achievements of women. Yes, it's the 2nd of March, so we are early, and we just thought it was just better to be earlier than later. So here we are. We're happy again to have you. This year's theme is Break the Bias, which focuses on a gender equal world. Our event will focus on PVAMU women. So we're looking at women from faculty, we're looking at students, and we're also looking at staff. And we are here today to hear how they have pretty much broken the bias in their own path. So if you're happy to be here, please just use the chat box to send some emojis and let the women feel welcome that we have here today to share their story. Because it's not so easy to share your story. And they have decided to, and we are so happy to have them. So just send some emoji in the chat box so everybody can feel welcome and feel good about being here. All right, so the first thing that we have on today's agenda is we're going to have some poems by Dr. Ria Das. But before she comes to read the poems, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her. And so that way you would be a little bit more appreciative of her poems, right? So Dr. Ria Das is an assistant professor of English and at Purdue A&M University, of course. She previously taught at Brenhampton University, and where she completed her PhD as well. She specialized in 19th century British literature and gender. So that means she's well spoken, right? Her research and teaching interests include gender, empire, Gothic fiction, science and literature, and 19th century poetry. She received a PVAMU Faculty Senate Award for excellence in teaching for the 2020-2021 academic year. Her work has appeared in Texas Studies in Literature and Language, 19th Century Gender Studies, and the Austin Chronicle. She recently received a National Endowment for the Humanities NEH grant for her first book project, Women at Odds, Indifferences, Antagonism, and Progress in Late Victorian Literature. Her book project also received the PVAMU Mellon Faculty Support Award. So please just make Dr. Das feel welcome as she comes to share some poems with us for today. Use
Thank you.
Emojis. Welcome, Dr. Das.
Thank you so much, Chantal, for that amazing introduction. I really appreciate it. And I cannot thank you all enough for letting me be part of this program and have a little bit of time to share some poems with you. So I'll get right into it. I have two poems today. The first one is titled On Imagination by Phyllis Wheatley. Now, when I was talking to the committee and Miss Tilly in the beginning, I thought about connecting the poems to the theme for today after I was done reading them, but then I realized, let's switch that up. So I would like to tell you a little bit about the background of this author and why this poem fits today's theme before I read it. This poem on imagination talks about, in general, if you're looking at it superficially, about nature, how nature inspires us to imagine, and how imagination is the ultimate human quality that allows us to ultimately get the stuff that we envision. I connected that with the idea of bias because imagination can be used both positively and negatively. And much bias in the world is a cause of imagination, if you think about it. Our job then is to use good imagination or positive, strong imagination to break those biases as well. So imagination creates bias. Imagination can also help us break bias. With that in mind, let's get into the poem. So On Imagination by Phyllis Wheatley. Also, one thing to remember, many of you might already know this, I'm probably preaching to the choir, but Phyllis Wheatley was the first African-American woman to ever publish a poetry book and sell it as a popular poetry book and succeed. And one of the first extensively successful African-American poets that we know of in the world. So keeping that in mind, here we go. Thy various works, imperial queen, we see, how bright their forms, how decked with pomp by thee. Thy wondrous acts in beauteous order stand, and all attest how potent is thine hand. From Helicon's refulgent heights attend your sacred choir, and my attempts befriend, to tell her glories with a faithful tongue. Your blooming graces triumph in my song. Now here, now there, thy roving fancy flies, till some loved object strikes her wondering eyes, whose silken fetters all the senses blind, and soft captivity involves the mind. Imagination, who can sing thy force, or who describe the swiftness of thy course? Soaring through air to find the bright abode, the imperial palace of the thundering god, we on thy pinions can surpass the wind and leave the rolling universe behind. From star to star the mental optics rove, measure the skies and range the realms above. There in one view we grasp the mighty whole, or with new worlds amaze the unbounded soul. Though winter frowns to fancy's raptured eyes, the fields may flourish and gay scenes arise. The frozen deeps may break their iron bands and bid their waters murmur over the sands. Fair Flora may resume her fragrant reign, and with her flowery riches deck the plain. Sylvanus may diffuse his honors round, and all the forest may with leaves be crowned. Showers may descend, and dews their gems disclose, and nectar sparkle on the blooming rose. Such is thy power, nor are thine orders vain. O thou, the leader of the mental train, in full perfection all thy works are wrought, and thine the scepter over the realms of thought. Before thy throne, the subject passions bow, of subject passions sovereign ruler thou. At thy command, joy rushes on the heart, and through the glowing veins the spirits dart. Fancy might now her silken pinions try to rise from earth and sweep the expanse on high. From Tidon's bed now might Aurora rise, her cheeks all glowing with celestial dyes. While a pure stream of light overflows the skies, the monarch of the day I might behold, and all the mountains tipped with radiant gold, but I reluctant leave the pleasing views, which fancy dresses to delight the muse. Winter austere forbids me to aspire, and northern tempests damp the rising fire. They chill the tides of fancy's flowing sea. Seize then my song, seize the unequal lay. That was On Imagination by Phyllis Wheatley. I hope you liked it. And now I'm going to move on to the next poem, the second and final poem I would like to share with you. This is a complete change in tone. So if that poem was making you feel austere and serious, this is a funny poem. It's called No Thank You, John, and it's by Christina Rossetti, who was a 19th century British poet, very popular in her time. And this poem on the surface, again, is funny. You can laugh along with it. It's basically self-explanatory. It's the speaker is a woman telling a guy named John to stop. John wants to date her, and she has told him repeatedly no. No, thank you, John. I don't want to date you. I don't want to be your girlfriend. And John keeps pestering her. So on the one hand, you can laugh with the woman at John and maybe tell John to go away if you identify with this woman. But on the other hand, you can also read into the seriousness of this poem, keeping our 21st century history and our 21st century context in mind, and how it is very important for women to have the power to say no when you need to say no. So with that in mind, we can laugh, but also nod along with this poem. And let's do it. No Thank You, John by Christina Rossetti. I never said I loved you, John. Why will you tease me day by day and wax a weariness to think upon with always do and pray? You know I never loved you, John. No fault of mine made me your toast. Why will you haunt me with a face as wan as shows an hour-old ghost? I dare say Meg or Moll would take pity upon you if you'd ask, and pray don't remain single for my sake. Who can't perform that task? I have no heart, perhaps I have not, but then you're mad to take offense that I don't give you what I have not got. Use your common sense. Let bygones be bygones. Don't call me false who owed not to be true. I'd rather answer no to 50 Johns than answer yes to you. Let's mar our pleasant days no more. Songbirds of passage, days of youth. Catch at today, forget the days before. I'll wink at your untruth. Let us strike hands as hearty friends, no more, no less, and friendship's good. Only don't keep in view ulterior ends and points not understood. In open treaty, rise above quibbles and shuffling off and on. Here's friendship for you, and if you like, but love, no thank you, John. Thank you very much. On that note, I'm gonna stop my poetry reading and let the program and Chantal move on to the next thing on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Das. If you guys enjoyed that, just please show some appreciation. I'm seeing some clap hands. Just let her know that you appreciate them, and it was also well read. Thank you so much for your points. All right, so we're going to move on to the introduction of the panelists. We have 4 individuals on the panelist for today. I'm going to read a bio that tells you a little bit more about them so that you can feel comfortable listening to them when they're responding to the discussion questions that we will have following this. All right, so please just get a pen and a paper, write down your points so that you can ask. If we have time, we'll be able to ask questions that way, because it's relatable stuff that we're going to discuss today. All right, so the first panelist, Dr. Andrea Mcdonald, please just send some emojis in the chat if you're here to support her and let her feel welcome as I read her bio. All right, so Dr. Andrea Mcdonald is an assistant professor of health and current curriculum chair in the Department of Health and Kinesiology at Prairie View A&M University. She received a PhD in health education from Texas A&M University in College Station, a Master's of Science in Human Sciences concentration in dietetics, and a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics as well, Foods and Nutrition from Prairie View A&M University. So she did a lot of studies at Prairie View A&M University, so she's very familiar. She's a certified health education specialist and credential in effective college instruction by the Association of College and University Educators and the American Council on Education. So prior to joining the faculty body, she served as a research assistant in the Transdisciplinary Center for Health Equity Research at Texas A&M University and a research coordinator for the Rural Minority Health Disparity and Community Research Project. Dr. Mcdonald is passionate about working with students and designing curriculum to advance students' learning and success. To date, she has developed several courses for online and face-to-face instruction and taught more than 6,000 students who are pursuing careers in the health field and serves as an advisor for many others. This is commendable. Most of her research utilizes qualitative methods and centered on the underserved minority youth, health disparities, food preparation literacy, and COVID-19 impact on higher education. In addition, Dr. McDonald has published more than 60 peer-reviewed abstracts and articles, 2 books, 3 book chapters, and gave numerous presentations at international, national, and local conferences. She has received PVAMU 40 Under 40 Award, Texas Public Health Association Thinking Progressively Towards Health Award, and research grants. Dr. McDonald is a fellow for the Texas Public Health Association and an active member of the American Academy of Health Behavior, AAHB, American Academy for Dietetics and Nutrition, Textbook and Academic Authors Association, TAAA, and National Institute for Staff and Organizational Development, NISOD. Also, she's a member and advisor for Eta Sigma Gamma at Prairie View A&M University. Wow, that's a lot. Let's make Dr. McDonald feel welcome. She's doing a lot, and we want to encourage her to continue doing a lot. Well done, Dr. McDonald. So that's our first panelist. So the second panelist is Dr. Marilyn. Let me see if I can pronounce. Dr. Marilyn.
My students call me Dr. P. Oh, perfect.
Okay, great. All right, so Dr. Marilyn Katara, I think, is the first woman tenure-track assistant professor in physics. Her research involves nanoparticles for radiation and environmental studies. She's also PVAMU Faculty Senate Speaker for 2 years. She's alumna from PVAMU with degrees in chemical engineering and physics. Wonderful. Brilliant field. Let's make Dr. Marilyn feel very welcome to the panel discussion today. All right, so the next panelist that we're going to read her bio about is Mrs. Bekita Pegram. Okay, so Mrs. Pegram has a passion for helping educators accomplish their professional and personal goals. She fulfills this passion by sharing her knowledge about educational technology tools through professional development presentations and conferences. She also invests her time mentoring undergraduate African American students in higher education. She's a wife and a mother of 4 that is a lifelong learner. Being a single mother until she got married to her husband in 2012, creating a blended family, she's a dedicated mother who encouraged her children to pursue educational achievements. Ms. Pegram has an entrepreneurial spirit and was a licensed barber for 17 years and owned a barbershop for 10 years. That's lovely. Once her youngest son was in high school, she returned to college, completed her bachelor's degree in professional interdisciplinary studies from Jackson State University, completed her alternative teaching certificate at Texas Teachers. While teaching history at the middle school level, she completed her master's degree in history from Jackson State University. She also earned her Gifted Learner Educator certificate from Cypress Fairbanks Independent School District. Currently, she's an adjunct history professor who is an educational leadership doctoral candidate at Prairie View A&M University. Ms. Pegram founded Only Mentoring in August, ONYX, that's the name of the program, Mentoring in August 2020, to empower African American women to live out their purpose in life. An experienced educational technology presenter, a certified online instructor, and she has shared her knowledge and experiences at various conferences and higher education institutions. Most recently, she has created a podcast show, DOPE, D-O-P-E, Conversations, to break down topics in education and our neighborhoods that are impacted by race, equality, and equity, bringing on guests to help provide valuable and empowering solutions to people at the grassroots level to influence change on these topics. That's wonderful. Let us make Mrs. Pegram feel welcome to the show today, or to the panel discussion today. These women are doing a lot, and I'm so excited to hear and learn so much from them. All right, so our next panelist is Miss Manuel Anguna. And we're going to allow her to tell us something about herself that would make up her bio, and then we will get into the discussion with all the panelists tonight.
Yes. So, hi everyone. My name is Manuela, and I'm a student at PVAMU University. I'm an international student from Central Africa. This is my second career. I first graduated in oil and gas production back home, and then I won a scholarship to come to the United States by my government, and I have a full pay scholarship, and I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. So yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, and welcome again. All right, so we are going to ask the panelists a set of questions, right? So everybody will answer the same question, and then we move to the others. So at this point, you could just write down any question or any comments that you will have to share with or to ask these ladies after we have gone through the questions. All right, so welcome again, ladies. Please unmute yourself when you are ready to speak. And the first question that we're going to ask is that, just so we feel a little bit more comfortable even after hearing that bio, just for you to share a unique fact about yourself with everybody that's here. We'll start with Dr. Mcdonald.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say special thanks for having me here, or even to select me to share my stories. I have so many stories. Excuse me. Because today is International Women's Day and we're celebrating, I would like to share one unique fact, which is I was a single mother while obtaining all my 3 degrees, and I am a first generation college student. I was a first generation college student within my family.
Wow. Let's make Dr. McDonald feel, special, and that's really good. That's really good. Being a single, well, I'm not a single parent, but I know based on research and having family members that being a single parent is not easy. All right. So we want to big you up for that, Dr. McDonald. Let's hear from Dr. Marilyn. What's one unique fact about yourself?
I was very afraid of heights. So when I was young, I jumped out of an airplane. I skydived solo many years ago to get over my fear of heights. And I will tell you, I am more afraid of heights.
Wow. Thank you so much. All right. And Manuela, you could go next.
Yes, I would say I consider myself as being a failure for my family for a long time, because for my culture, being 25 and not being married or having kids, it was like a failure for your family. But then I wanted to accomplish different things. So I started working on myself and on my degrees and my personality before getting married or before having a baby. So yeah.
Nice. Working on self is always important. All right, and we're gonna go with Mrs. Program. You can go next.
Yes. In thinking of it, the most unique thing that shocks people is I'm actually very shy. I call myself a social introvert, and to get out of being so deathly shy, I convinced myself to go for what I wanted, because you only live once. And I told myself, what's the worst that can happen? Just try it. And so that's the thing that kind of gets me through life. And that's the thing that makes me try things, is just try it. What's the worst that can happen? The most thing they can do is tell you no, and that's not going to kill you. No is not going to kill you.
Lovely. But for someone who is shy, you're doing a lot, and you have a podcast and everything. That's a lot of engagement. So that's beautiful. All right. So the next question for everyone is, we want you to describe your personal, professional, and your cultural background. How has it shaped your story today? Let's hear. Dr. McDonald, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I was born and raised in a small rural community in Jamaica, that is called Kidland. I was born to 2 teenage parents who had little at the time, no college education, no high school education. However, one thing that we were raised on was love. And one of the things my parents did instill in us was for us to actually get a college education. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, so she took care of us, make sure that we have something to eat when we got home. But my daddy was a farmer, and while he was farming, he actually burned charcoal in order to send us to school or to ensure that we have food on our table. My professional, just to answer the professional background. So after graduating from high school, I migrated to the United States. Here I came to PVAMU University, which is the best university ever. When I got here, I felt loved. I felt like I was at home. I met a lot of professors who helped to shape my careers. One of the things that I would say, mentoring was one of the biggest things that helped me here. While I was here pursuing my degree, I came here with my spouse at the time. Yeah, we weren't married, but he was the one who encouraged me to be here because he saw something in me that I did not see. I thought I could not go to school. I could not manage a college education. However, after we are here and he was working on his master's degree and I was working on my associate degree at the time because I was at Purview, but because of certain life issues, I had to go back to the community college. So while I was in the community college, the semester right before I graduated, it was February 24th, February 22nd, 2 days before my birthday and my daughter's birthday, 4 months before I got married, he died in a wreck. So because he died in a wreck, I did not stop my career or my educational goals or dream. I continued. I did that with the help of other persons who were around me. For example, some of my faculty members and campus, some of the Jamaican families who are here, which are not my family, but they're more to me like a family. With that said, I am still here. I pursue my master's degree and then obtain my PhD. And then now I'm here teaching back at Purview, trying to give back some of what I received.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. That's resilience, man. Congratulations. And we just pray that you'll continue on this journey. All right, Dr. Marilyn, let's hear your response to the question. Describe your personal, professional, and cultural background. How has it shaped your story today?
So I'm from an Indian background. And when my family migrated over to the US, I was 5 years old. So I grew up here with two brothers and with the cultural expectation that you will succeed. There was no option. Unfortunately, and I share this with my students always on the first day, I have failed so much despite the best support I had from my family. I made many mistakes when I was younger and I failed. I was kicked out of every university I went to. I found a way back and I got degrees in psychology from University of Houston. I went to Prairie View Nursing School. I was kicked out of there. I was kicked out of University of Houston 2 times, found a way through. And then I came to main campus and I can tell you it was such a struggle, but it was my teachers who, and they're still here, most of them, and they took the time to explain things to me, to encourage me. They had more faith in me than I had in myself. I was at rock bottom. I was a black sheep in my community because I did not succeed in school, which is why did the parents make such hard sacrifices to come here? And everybody around me was successful except me. So with my teachers' confidence, I slowly started to get better and better, and my grades started to improve. And they never gave up on me. Whenever I was struggling, they were like, no, do it again, practice it again, time yourself, do it again, keep going, remember your units. And so slowly my grades started going up. I got degrees in engineering and physics, a master's in engineering, PhD in physics from Rice University. worked 5 years in an oil company, a couple of years at Baylor College of Medicine, and then come here with patents and publications and a teaching award. I never would have imagined that when I was a struggling undergraduate student. And now that I'm a teacher, I feel it is my personal mission to encourage my students, especially the ones that are struggling or not sure, or maybe made some mistakes in the past, that of course they can redo themselves and go forward. Don't give up. You can do this. It is a personal mission of mine to give that encouragement and faith and belief that I received forward to the next generation. I believe it strongly. Some of my students are here, so they've heard my story before, but it is this belief in just no matter what you've gone through, you keep going forward. Don't be afraid, maybe of heights, but don't be afraid of falling down. Don't be afraid. You get up. Don't be afraid to speak, and don't be afraid to speak for others.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. And looking at you would not know physics, that's hard. I can't even do the sciences, so that's commendable. All right, so we will go to Miss Anguna. Let us hear you describe your personal, professional, and cultural background, and how has that shaped your story?
Okay, I come from Equatorial Guinea. It's a small country in Central Africa. And I come from a family where the culture is very strict. And my mother was married at the age of 15. And by that time, my father was already 30 with a wife and children. So polygamy is kind of normal in my culture. So as I was growing up, I always have these family members with a mindset by you have to have this done by this age, you have to have kids by this age, you have to get married by this age. And I experienced and I lived and I witnessed the struggle my mom went through. And that's something that I always had in mind, that I love my mom, but I don't want to be like my mom. I don't want to live the life that my mom lived. And throughout the years, my father divorced my stepmother, and he actually became my best friend. And he always told me, no matter what the family members say, always work for yourself, always try to achieve your dreams and work for your goals. So, and he was like, okay, you don't have to be married by 22. You don't have to have kids by 22. What do you want to do? So I started working hard on achieving what I wanted to accomplish, as I said. So my first language is Spanish. So I learned English in order to get in the oil and gas industry in my country, so I can get more money and help my family. So I started learning English from the very bottom, I started learning English. And then from there, it went better. I'm not gonna lie. I won scholarship nationally. And those scholarships actually took me to come here because I was recognized by my government for my effort. And that's something my father always told me before he died. And it's like, always work for yourself. And I would say my mom going through all these struggles and being the second wife of my dad actually helped me to become the woman I want to become in the future. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And we're gonna go now to Mrs. Program. So you're describing
Yes.
your personal, professional. Okay, you remember the question. All right.
Yes. I guess what really shaped me is being a product of parents from the South. And when you're talking about the early 70s, late 60s, because I was born in 73, you're talking about civil rights and growing up with young parents, because both my parents were teenagers. My father actually lied on his birth certificate to get into the military because he was getting in so much trouble. as a youth. So having a 17-year-old and a 16-year-old set of parents that were determined to give me a better life, they joined the military. So the military also is a big part of who I am, having that organization and being very strict parents. So after that, you know, having that background, but also myself becoming a single parent, I tried to fight a lot of the stereotypes and statistics that I was facing as a young parent. And I did go to Jackson State. Like Dr. P said, my mom, it was like a no option. You having a kid, but you're still going to college, period. Not acceptable. You're going. So I went to college and had a great time at Jackson State. I chose an HBCU because growing up in the military, I was not really around Black people. I was normally around white people, and I didn't know me. I didn't know what my culture was. I didn't know what it was to be Black. I knew what it was to be Black in America, but I didn't know like my history, my ancestry, and I wanted to know. So I got accepted into the University of Mississippi. My mom was excited, but I wasn't, because to me, it was me back in the same situation that I had already been in high school and secondary school. So I wanted to be around Black people. So I chose an HBCU twice. So when I was there, my daughter actually went to school with me. My mom helped me. She would keep her through the week, and I would get her on the weekend. But then I went home one weekend, and my daughter called my mom, and I lost it. I said, nope, she's going to school with me. So my sophomore year, she came to school with me, and I made it all the way to my senior year, and things just got really tough, to the point my daughter and we had some really rough times, and I was forced to make a decision for her to go home where I could get more help. Went home, and because of the experience that I had in my undergrad, as my undergrad was mass comm, I worked at the TV station there. I actually got hired at the ABC affiliate back home in the lobby. When the guy saw that all the stuff that I could do, he's like, you're hired. And I'm like, whoa, I'm working at a TV station for real? But then I quickly learned they don't make much money. So I fell on my my butt again, and I went to and worked on my minor, which my minor at the time was business. And I went and became a manager at a music store. And that's how I kind of start digging myself out of the hole, was the business. And worked in management in call centers for a while, but that really wasn't my calling. It was just something that I was doing to pay the bills and take care of me and my daughter. And that's how I got into barbering. And I did barbering because it allowed me to be the mom I wanted to be. I could be at all the PTA meetings. I could be at all the games. I could be home. And because as a single parent, you're forced to work a lot of hours to supplement income that maybe another person, a spouse, would give. And so I've always had a strong work ethic given to me from my dad, but I've always had a strong faith that was given to me by my mom. And my spirituality helped me through a lot of tough times. And when I saw that my kids were now becoming more independent and self-sufficient, the last one, my son, when he was going to high school, I said, okay, now I can face what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I got here into education because I like teaching. I like sharing knowledge. And I think the only way our community, the Black community, can grow from where we are now, I believe, like W.E.B. Du Bois, education is the key. And we have to know where we've come from so that we don't repeat the same mistakes, but we also have to know how to get a seat at the table. And if that means creating your own table by creating your own podcast so you get your voice out there, do it. And so that's what I try to teach my kids, my students. I don't care what cultural background you have, we owe it to our culture to work and come back and help our community, because our community give us so much. And where your community be now at PV, we deserve it. We owe them to give it back.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. I just love how everything that everyone is saying is relatable to someone here. I can see some of the expressions and some of the comments. So that's really good. All right, so we're going to go to the next question. And this one says, tell us about an unusual or unexpected milestone of your journey. Dr. McDonald.
Okay. So an unusual or an unexpected milestone. So as I mentioned earlier on that I am from Jamaica. I came here in search of an education. I met several obstacles while I was here. Like, for example, I was burned out of my apartment, but that didn't stop me from gaining my education. But more so, the one that is what was unexpected is my earning a PhD. I had no idea, as I said to you before, my parents, they had no education, but because I had good mentoring and people who are very successful here and saw that there's something in me that I can go further than what I am right now. So one of the one that I'm going to point it out was the day of my dissertation defense. The day of my dissertation defense, I prepared very well for my dissertation. However, someone on my committee, one of my committee member, thought that I wasn't good enough to defend on that particular day. And 1 hour and 30 minutes before I defended my dissertation, they decided that they're going to cancel my dissertation. Or one person said it cannot happen. However, my chair believed in me and said, Andrea, you're going to do this. I am going to have a meeting with all the committee members. It's easier for you to fail than saying you won't be. For me, that day I was crying. Several persons family members were on their way just to see me walk across just to defend my dissertation. And they had to turn back. They didn't get a chance to witness. However, 10 minutes to 3 on that day, they came out of a meeting and had a conclusion that yes, I should go. While I was getting ready, trying to fix up my face, trying to be me, be that woman that I know I am. As I said, one of the things I said to one of my friends was saying, let's put it off. I said, no, I am a strong Black woman and I'm going to do what I have to do. They provide the instructions that I should present for 47 minutes. And I did not practice or anything, but I went up there and I defended my dissertation. And it took me 46 minutes. And at the end of my dissertation defense, the same instructor was saying, you are not ready, came over and said, Andrea, you did an awesome job. I had no idea you were this prepared. And I share this story because I know a lot of students are on here, and sometimes obstacles come your way, or there's always something that is there trying to deter you from reaching your goal or break your concentration. One of the things you will need to do, you need to believe in yourself and what you can accomplish and push. It doesn't matter what it is. Go ahead and do whatever you want to do, whatever you set your goals to do. One of the things I normally share with my students, life is like an ocean where a lot of waves coming at you. One of the things that you will need to do is learn how to surf. And as students, I'm going to encourage you, you're in college, you're listening to the stories, just practice how to surf. And nothing is wrong with being a failure, but you just have to pick up the broken pieces and move along.
Wow, this is really good. I'm at the stage right now where I don't like to hear the word dissertation, and this is inspiring. So thank you so much, Dr. McDonald. Let's move over to Dr. Marilyn for your response to the question, an unusual or unexpected milestone of your journey.
So to share again, it's a little similar to Professor McDonald's story. When I graduated from Prairie View, I went to Rice. And when I had said I got kicked out of every university I went to, I include Rice University. So I was there, and people will try and stop you, say bad about you. The way our professor, it was set up was he would send somebody around to look at the offices to see who was there. I was in the labs. I was in the lab so much that another professor gave me a cot because they would find me sleeping in strange corners because of my experiments. I was in another building doing my work diligently. In the meantime, the report came back, oh, Merlin is never in the office. And the others were. So I got kicked out of one department, and chemistry and applied physics accepted me. Chemistry, I was just a number. Applied physics knew my name at least. And I said, okay, because my goal was to get a PhD. I never cared what. My father's dying wish was finish. His last word to me in our language was study, just finish it. He died the summer before the fall that I got accepted into Rice. And so when I had to change departments and I was working there, same diligence, no matter what anybody else was saying about me. And it was a very toxic, verbally abusive environment. Every day I was insulted by my new supervisor. It was awful. And my self-esteem dropped. I was about to quit. In fact, I stopped the NASA funding for my last year of my PhD because I was just going to quit because I was so depressed. And it was hard. It takes a toll on you. And sometimes you don't understand where the strength is supposed to come from to go on. And I was depressed because I thought I'm disappointing my family, my father. But oddly enough, that person got kicked out and another supervisor came, took over. And normally they allow, after you get 3 papers, you can go ahead and defend. By that time, I had 6. I had a patent, I had a teaching award. I think I had a minimum of 6 publications at that time. I worked very hard, and all of my work was less than 50% of what I had done that was published. When I think about that I almost didn't get my PhD because it was so hard, it was so unexpected. But I did my best. When your strength runs out, somewhere else the strength will come. Someone else will come and carry you forward. So don't worry about the left and right. Don't worry about who's putting you down. Don't worry about who's saying wrong about you. Don't worry about it all. You keep doing you. And when your strength runs out, your destiny will not allow you to stop. From somewhere, someone will come and offer you a kind word. Somewhere that strength will come when you run out of your own. Please, my students and my colleagues, no matter who is doing what, you keep running your race. Nobody can stop your destiny. Nobody else is in charge of you except the one above. Don't you ever worry. You keep running your race. Cry, whatever you do. If you're right before the finish line and all your strength gives out, don't worry. Somebody will drag your tired body across. You will finish by the grace of God, I promise you.
Wow, I'm not an emotional person, but these stories are very emotional and inspiring. And I'm just really trying my best to keep it together because if I was off camera, I'd probably be crying already because this is really good and really inspiring. Thank you guys so much. So we're going to move over to Miss Alcona. So tell us about an unusual or unexpected milestone of your journey.
Yes, and as Dr. P said, and I believe that sometimes your environment can be very, very toxic, and you have to learn how to get away from that kind of thoughts. And my milestone started when I finished high school in 2014. At that time, I wanted to study medicine, not because I loved it, just because my father started getting sick that year. And I thought by the time I graduate, I would be able to do something to help him. But then these scholarships started, the government was giving opportunities to nationals and to help them grow in their careers. So there were thousands and thousands of students applying for these scholarships. And I had everybody except for my relatives telling me, even some of my relatives were telling me, why are you wasting your time? Don't you see how many people are applying? And I was like, I have to get in because this is going to be the starting point of something big. And everybody was like, don't waste your time. And corruption is really, really big in my country, because you can get a scholarship, but you will still have to pay to get in. So I had these people telling me, don't waste your time. And I was like, you know what do I have to lose? So I got into the program. I did the test and everything. So when I was about to give up, even my brother told me, why are you wasting your time? Go and start your degree in medicine. This is all you have to do. So after I get like a week before I gave up, like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, I received a call. And they told me, you have been selected for the next process. And I said, what? So I proved everybody wrong. And I said, if I have given up, I wouldn't have had this opportunity to go and take the test and do what I wanted to do for my life. And from there, as I said at the beginning, it went better because I kept winning scholarships and I kept going on while everybody was just give up, because you know how things work in our country. Why are you wasting your time? You don't come from a rich family, because in my country, if you don't come from a family that has money, they don't consider you. And it hasn't been my story. My story has always been like, I don't have like money or anything, but I have had God always on my side, and He has always opened these doors for me. And He brought me here, and I will continue working hard to make my family proud and to do. And as Dr. P said, don't let anybody degrade you, and don't make anybody make you feel like you cannot achieve anything in your life. So yeah, that's my story.
Wow. I didn't know we had so many inspiring people at PV because, of COVID and we're so, locked away or so separated. I didn't know. But this is beautiful. This is really inspiring. We're going to go over to Mrs. Pegram.
All righty. So I'm going to do this without trying to cry. I'm going to be honest, it's going to be really hard. I'm not sure how many of you all are spiritual. Today is Ash Wednesday, and this was the first Ash Wednesday that I could go back to church since COVID. My biggest milestone would have to be making it through this program thus far. I still have my dissertation, but I started first of all, let's just go back to even to get into the program. I received a letter. I had my interview and I received a letter that said I was denied. Thank you for applying. We wish you many blessings, all the great stuff you say in a denial letter, basically saying no. So I was like, okay, I got my master's. I can teach my dual credit classes. I can even go to Lone Star. I'm good. I'm not tripping. 2 months later, I get a call from Graduate Studies, and they say, I need your transcript. And I'm like, why? And because I'm like, why are you asking for my transcript? And she said, well, are you still interested in the doctoral program? I was like, I was interested in you, but you weren't interested in me. So the lady says, she paused and she said, I'm looking at 2 signed letters, one from the Dean of College of Education and one from Graduate Studies. And she paused again. She said, do you want to go or not? And I said, yes, I want to go. I pulled my car over immediately into the parking lot, and I sent her my transcript. And I called my husband crying, and I said, baby, this is nothing but God. And if I get this program, I am going to do whatever I have to do for my community, for my family. I'm going to be an example to my kids. Nobody in my family has a PhD. When you look at my mom's side, no. My dad's side, no. There's a couple of masters, but no PhD. So it was a big deal. Fall semester comes, 2019, I have to have a hysterectomy 2 weeks before finals. What? So leading up to that, I'm in pain, like humongous pain in class. I did not miss a class, anything. Made it through that. COVID hits. And then after COVID, then I have pretty good time going through, but then we have my stepson who is very sick. Oh, I just saw one of my professors popped up on the screen. She probably doesn't know half of this stuff. My stepson.
I know you, and you're dynamic.
Yes, so it's just been a really crazy journey. In September, my mom passed, and I promise you, I did not think I was going to complete my dissertation. My comps were due in November. My mom passed September 16th. By God's grace and my mom's blessings on my life, I made it through comps. And I thank God that now I can say I'm all but dissertation. And I'm going to finish this dissertation from my mom because she poured so much into me. She never built me to be a quitter, but I always told her, I said, Ma, I just feel like I'm always behind the 8-ball. She said, but you have a testimony, and your testimony is going to help that person that looks like you. So this is my biggest milestone, making it this point, because my mom was my person. She was my best friend. She was my minister. She was my boom chica. She was everything. And so now I move forward because of her.
Amen.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Beyond wonderful. Wow. These stories are really good and relatable and inspiring. And I mean, I really just hope that everybody leaves with something today, because this is life changing, you know. All right, the next question we're gonna discuss reads: in what ways have you challenged biases or navigated imposter syndrome within and outside of your cultural affiliation? Dr. McDonald.
Okay, thank you. In what way have I challenged? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier on that I was a single mother, and going to school, the stereotype is if you're a single mother, sometimes it's very hard for you to finish based on all the other negative stories around being a single mother. I just cannot make it. One of the things I personally did, and my daughter isn't here, because I've mentioned before, my spouse died. Here, without living in America, without a family member, that support that you really need to help you with your kids is very hard. So one of the things that I did, there were many nights I was in the library with my daughter, ensuring that she completed her assignment while I am doing my assignment. There were times that I had to stop to give her my full attention, but yet sometimes I have to focus. Okay, let's go for a race. You are going to read this part of your assignment while mommy's working on this part of her paper. Then we both discussed. That's one of the bias that I experienced. Another bias that I experienced in my classroom. So as an international student, one of the things that they other student looked at is like, okay, you're here, you're coming from your country, you're coming from what is here for us, and you're coming to take what we had. I literally had this issue in my class, in my food and nutrition class. Four of us were in the class from Jamaica. We were the ones who made the highest grade every time the test is given. However, and one day the other students, they were so mad. They were very mad about us making the highest grade. And they were very mad. They said, we're trying to take their money. We're trying to take, we're here just to take what they have, and maybe we need to go back to where we're coming from. Another thing that I personally experience is your accent. Your accent, sometimes person look on you to say, okay, you are not from here. Maybe you're not supposed to be a part of. But one of the things I can say, Purview in itself, as I said, I'll never exchange Purview for nothing. They are the ones who provide me everything that I needed to be this woman that I am today. And I'll say that for all the students on here. Don't let anyone fool you that Purview is not providing what you need. Purview is providing everything that you need to get. As I said, I went to my PhD program, regardless of whatever was going on. I focused and I could complete in 3 years. So if Purview did not provide all that resources that I need to break those barriers, then I don't know where I would be. So continue to focus, continue to do what you have to do to meet your goals and your milestones.
Oh, this is really good. All right, Dr. Marilyn, let's hear from you. on this question. Do you want me to read it again, or do you remember it?
Breaking bias, challenging the
Yes.
bias. There aren't a
Yes.
lot of women in physics. There aren't a lot of women with a PhD in physics and with chemical engineering in their background as well. What I learned when I was an undergraduate student from someone who's here now, Dr. Joanna Thomas-Smith, who I will never, never forget. When I was in a challenging situation, I'll never forget what she told me. She said to me when people were trying to block my graduation, block my ability to graduate, she said, no, even if something is carved in stone, it can be rewritten. I was told time and time again, what are you doing in physics? Just get a degree in engineering, you know, do something practical. You know, physicists are for really smart people. You know, you struggle, you shouldn't be in physics. Even when I joined Prairie View, I was pretty much kind of told the same thing by some people. I just kept going. And now I was hired as a lecturer, and I was given a chance to finally become a tenure track assistant professor, the first woman in physics at Prairie View. And can I tell you, my students, being able to see Dr. Joanna Thomas-Smith right now, my heart is just spilling over, because she was the one who kind of helped me when I had so many things repeatedly told to me that you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. You know, oh, no, this is for somebody else, not you. You're not good enough. You're just not good enough. When somebody said, Merlin, nobody will listen to a lecturer. Why are you in faculty senate? Just, you know, stay down, just listen. But my colleagues gave me a chance and let me serve. So let me tell you, my students, it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Even when something is written in stone in your face, you recarve it. You recarve it. Somebody tells you you can't do it, do it. Somebody says this is for somebody else, say it is for you. I have a poster in my office. They say, oh, you cannot withstand this storm. You tell them back, you are the storm. That's for you, Dr. Joanna Thomas-Smith.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You've done so well. I tell you, you gotta. But the thing about women, though, is that we are persistent. We are strong. And I was listening to a sermon by Reverend Cosby over at Wheatley Avenue a couple of Sundays ago. He talked about, it came from Exodus. And he talked about how they had been ordered that for the midwives to kill the male children who were born. And then the midwives said, they were afraid of God, and I'm not going to do that. And then they found that the women were so strong that when they got to the women, the babies had already been born. The babies were strong enough to come on their own. And then he goes on and keeps talking about it. He connects this to Black history and talks about the fact that the women, you think, they're weak. You don't worry about them, just worry about the men. And you think about the strength. He talked about the strength of the Hebrew women, and began to talk about the strength of the African American woman and the woman, period. I mean, we whatever our world is, whatever our civilization is, it rests so much on the woman. So I guess I'd be afraid of you all too. You see how the women in the Ukraine, they're picking up and learning how to shoot the weapons. They're saying we're not going to send the men off by themselves. We say, no, we don't need that protection. We have as much to gain and as much to lose in this thing as anybody. So they're jumping in there. It's really something to see.
Oh,
You
let's
guys are wonderful.
appreciate
I'm so glad I was able to.
Smith.
Oh God, some kids were calling me about the essay contest, and I was downstairs on my landline, and I said, I gotta get off. I gotta go and see what's going on in this International Women's thing. So I'm here, and I'm so glad I got a chance to catch it and see you guys.
Oh, let's appreciate Dr. Thomas-Smith for everything that she has done for everybody and for her kind words. All right, let's move on to Miss Anguna.
Yes. I would say for centuries, back home, men have given women the job to stay at home and have kids. And from there, it's like they allow the women to actually study and work. But it's like they put like two different blocks, and they say, this is the careers and degrees that men can study, and this is what women can actually study. So I would say I started breaking the bias when I decided to get into the oil and gas industry in my country, because oil and gas industry back home is like 90% men and 10% women. And it's not even equal salary, it's equal opportunities, it's nothing like that. It's like you go there, but you know you are going to suffer to actually like get to, yeah. So I got into the oil and gas industry, and they was like, what are you doing here? Why don't you study things that women study? So, and the fact that I decided to come here and become an engineer is like, I have put them in a position where they are afraid of me, because now women are starting to wake up and actually see that we can do this regardless of sex or regardless of the race. Why do we have to study, like in my country, why do you have to study certain things just because you're a woman? It's like men started to allow women to study, but actually we don't need allowance from anybody. We can just decide to, I can decide to become an engineer. I can decide to do whatever I want. So I would say I broke the bias when I decided to get into the oil and gas industry and become my own person, regardless of my culture and regardless of what they think and regardless of what they think women should study and women should become. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. From just my little bit about that I know about African culture, I know that they're really strict when they and traditional when they come to those decisions. So I think you're very brave to do that. So that's amazing. All right, we're going to move over to Mrs. Pegram again to hear your way of challenging bias.
Whew. I think my whole life is a big broken bias. Having a kid at 18, a single mom. She graduated, no kids. She's 30 now. I didn't kill her. She's still living. I'm proud of my kids. I broke a bias and a stereotype there about single mothers. Being a barber at a high level in Houston, I used to say I was your favorite barber. And even now, being told no, and God giving me that opportunity to show yes, and showing me that I can do it, because sometimes the bias is not always on the outside in the world. Sometimes you doubt yourself and you'll make that bias come true. And sometimes you have to just look in the mirror and say, you got this, you can do this. And I find myself doing that daily, because even though on secondary education, you see a lot of women, but in higher ed, you don't see a lot of women to make it to some of the levels that women aspire to be as far as leaders. So breaking the bias comes from, I think, from within, and not acknowledging that glass ceiling, creating your own avenues. And I think being an underdog, I've always had to do that. And there's a way to do everything. You may have to find your own road by creating it and paving it out. And there's nothing wrong with that. And when you are faced with obstacles, use that as a challenge. And I don't know, my mom always said I was stubborn in that way, that when somebody tell me I can't do something, I find a way to do it. I say it's very creative, but stubborn can work too. But you just have to find a way to keep pushing and surround yourself with cheerleaders. Yes, be your own cheerleader, but surround yourself with positive thinking people that are trying to break ceilings as well. So that's my advice.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So the next question that we're going to look at is, we're asking you guys to discuss some of the characteristics you believe are the most significant for multicultural women's leadership and breaking the biases for gender equality. And also, are you there yet? So let's hear what you have to say about this, Dr. McDonald.
multicultural women in leadership. One of the things I would say, perseverance, be yourself, set goals and stick to them. Also embrace other people's culture. As a leader in the say for example, I'm an instructor in the classroom, I'm a leader within the classroom. I try to engage my students, I try to learn their culture and try to integrate some of those cultural experience within my classroom, within my teacher. One of the big things that is going on at Preview right now is the global experience for students, which I think is phenomenal because these students need to learn about other persons and how to appreciate them. We are preparing students in order for them to go into the work world, and they're going to meet persons with several different cultural background. So one of the things as a leader, you will need to know what are some of these culture, what are some of the things that these individuals like. So I think a good leader, a multicultural woman should learn the different cultural background of individuals, not just their own culture, try to enforce their culture on those individuals. Breaking the bias for gender equality. Yes, one of the things that we need to do as females, we need to promote other females. Our other students will need to promote other students who are male. So for example, this is a good example what we are doing here tonight. We chose individuals who are in purview. We have all these stories, but many persons may not know stories. So I'm quite sure we have, last time I saw on the thing, we have more than 40 something participants. At least they are learning something from women who they are seeing every day, and they're just thinking, okay, that person is smiling, but they don't know what's going on inside, right? So one of the things that we as female have to do most days too, smile. Even when we're in pain, we have to smile and show that we can do this. This is who we are, and this is what you will get. When it's time for us to be smiling, when it's time for us to be stern, we need to be that person we know we're supposed to be. Like mommy, you have your child would come to you and said, I need to do this. Even though you love your child, sometimes you just have to say no and stick to what you believe in. So that's it for students, for what I have to say about characteristics and my what is most significant to me about multicultural women.
All right. And are you there yet? You didn't tell us.
So are we there yet? No. One of the reasons why I said no, I am from my very first sentence, I talk about single woman. And one of the things, we are not there yet. We're still having a lot of persons who are not believing in themselves. So I think we need to work some more in order to encourage those individuals or encourage one of those sisters. They just need a good word of encouragement. Always provide them with that positive words. One thing one person said to me previously, try to be that sunflower every day you wake up, right? So you're walking to school every day, or you're in that classroom, be that sunflower, because the day the person you're not there, that person will actually miss you. And I'm going to give an example. I share my experience earlier on today, and I know Molly share some of it in my classroom. And I'll never forget, one evening I was walking in Walmart with my husband, and a student stopped me to say, the student circled around twice. And she walked and she said, Dr. Mcdonald. I said, yes. And she said, do you remember me? I said, yes. She said, remember when you shared that story in your class about your spouse who passed? She said, 3 days ago, someone shot my spouse in Dallas. I just need to know how to overcome. Right there in Walmart. I just have to stop there. I stopped, talk to the student for a while, and the only thing I could do was pray with the student and tell her, if you need more information, you know where my office is, you can come and talk, as well as seek professional advice. Because again, we are African American, and sometimes we do not encourage counseling, but counseling is very important for African Americans or for individuals in general. So in order to break some of those biases and inequalities, we need that support and those counseling in order to keep us going.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. McDonald. Over to you, Dr. Marilyn. Characteristics you believe are most significant.
So I believe the characteristics of being a strong leader coming from a multicultural background is to be open to the variety of what the definition of success is, to be open when the light is not shining on you, You do your best to shine a light on somebody else. As women, there's plenty of room at the top. If I am not being given a grant or an award, but somebody else is, you praise them with sincerity. If you see an opportunity in which you can say, oh, you know, Professor Morton would be really good to talk to about subject X, Y, Z. Oh, we have Dr. Mcdonald here. You know, she's over there in this field. You need to talk to her. If you can recognize other people's strength, don't worry if you're being recognized or not. If you can recognize somebody else's strength, then you give them praise. You put the light on them. And the more you give to others, the more light you give to other people, you will rise. The more appreciation and respect you give to other women in their fields, you will rise. The strength of a leader is not in having a light on you, but taking that light and putting it on others. And be proud of that. Be excited about an opportunity that you can give to somebody else to shine. That is, I think, the importance of being a leader, is to serve others.
Beautiful. And are you there yet?
I'm sorry, say again?
Are you there yet?
No, we're not. And I will tell you why. We're not making the same money as men. We don't have equity in all of our academic ranks across a university, equal number amount of women with men at full professor. We need to keep pushing that glass ceiling. We're not there yet. Will we get there? Yes, eventually, when we don't have to talk about critical race theory, when we don't have to talk about gender issues, unless it's in a historical basis. We will get there one day, but we have a lot of work that we need to do towards that progress. And we're not there yet. We're not making the same money. We don't have equity in academic ranks. We don't have equity in the number of positions in industries. We don't have enough female CEOs, even though Harvard Business Review has multiple times said that companies with female leadership have higher profit margins. We're not there yet. We still have a lot of work to do, but that is why we are here. We're not here, as presidents and respected leaders had said, we're not here to do what's easy. We are here to do the hard. We will get there, but no, we're not there yet.
Beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Marilyn. We're going to go over now to Ms. Anguna for your perspective on this question.
So I would say one of the benefits of having a multicultural background is the fact that you become tolerant and open-minded. Like, we come from different places, we come from different backgrounds and different culture. So when I came here and I met people from different places, I become more sensitive to understand what they are going through. So I can be in the same classroom with a partner and not knowing what this partner went through to actually, let's say, come to the United States or actually be in class this day. So you become open-minded to sensibilize yourself with other situations. And I think you have more lifestyle options, so you kind of understand other people. And I would say something that would really help is the fact that we become more humble, and as Dr. McDonald said, so we can respect others' cultures. Because sometimes I even went through something when I came to the United States, is the fact that they don't respect my culture in terms of me cooking something that is from my country. So if you get to know me, you will understand this is my country and I'm not doing it trying to bother you. So if you humble yourself and you try to understand that, hey, I come from a different country, you will understand this is my culture. So yeah, that's my idea. And if we are there yet, I think we are not, as Dr. P said, we are not making the same money as men. In my country, I went through a situation where I did not get the job because the manager literally told me, you are not getting the job because we don't want women in this position. So if we are going through that, we are not there yet. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's go over to Mrs. Pegram now for her perspective.
Well, as far as my perspective as being a leader, I always go back to this book that I had to read in this doctoral program, Theory U by Otto Schermer. He talks about listening and being able to sense. In order to be able to understand somebody outside of yourself, you have to begin with listening and understanding someone else grew up different than you. They had different experiences. Even though me and my sister and I grew up in the same house, the experiences also shaped us. And the experiences shape people. And until you really understand an experience of someone, it's gonna be hard to understand that person. You can't generalize and say, oh, well, they're from India, so they're just like this. Oh, they're from Angola, so they're just like this. There may be some generalizable characteristics, but you still got to get to know the person. And I think a leader also will be transparent enough to let them know her or him. And so as a woman, sometimes I think that we have to get to a point that we are unapologetically women. It is okay to wear your makeup and your lashes if that's you. You do not have to go in a straight black business suit to fit in with the boys. It's okay to be a woman. Being a woman is beautiful. And so why would we let anybody dumb that down? And I think being transparent about who we are on a daily basis and allowing people to be who they are. And I think sometimes when we look at society, we don't let people be who they are because we're afraid to be who we are. And so I think that's a big difference in when you become a leader in an institution or an organization. You focus on the mission and the vision of the company, yes, but as a leader, you have to make sure that your people feel like people. And I think, was your question, are we there yet, or am I as an individual there yet?
Yes, are you there yet?
As we know, I don't think so, for all the various reasons that all the other panel members said, but I also think we're not there yet. I am very much the path of least resistance, but I'm also, if that path won't let me on it, I'll make my own. And it may take us to make our own and show the boys club that we can do it too. I know we have a lot of women doing amazing things, first time vice presidents and things like that. And that's great. We always want to break the glass ceiling, but sometimes you might need to create your own ceiling. And I'm a strong believer in that. And I think that if we can gain the knowledge that you need necessary to create your own path, go for it.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So we're on the last question for the panelist. No, and it reads, what is in your affirmational toolbox and has sustained you and given you strength to walk in your power? So, whatever it is that you want to share with everyone for them to take away. So, for example, motivational quotes, anything. What's in your affirmational toolbox? Dr. Manuel.
Thank you. So in my toolbox, I have a lot of tools in my toolbox, and it depends on the type of work that I'm going to do. That's the tool I will use. However, I must first say one of the tools that I use very often or every day is that I am a very spiritual person. I believe in God. I ask Him to guide me every day because He's a person who I believe who I am. Also to my daughter is my everything. She's my strength. As I mentioned before, she's on here, and she's also a preview baby, as I mentioned before. And I'll never forget, and I walk with this every day. Like I explained earlier on, the most unusual circumstances was, and I explained, but I'll never forget that day. To me, I was a target because of my skin color. And I'll never forget, every day I would go to a meeting, and this particular day, the day when I feel like I would give up everything and walk away, she, just after I ended the meeting, I walked out. She was in high school at the time. And she said, Mommy, remember, the light is at the end of the tunnel. So just continue to stay focused. I had no idea how she knew something was wrong, but that is one of my tools, one of my strengths. Just knowing that she's the daughter that I have. And whenever I have issues, she can tell me, Mommy, that doesn't look good. She's a nurse right now. She graduated from Prairie View and she was an engineering major. Also to my family members, there are many times I'm walking and I'm crying, or I'm driving and I'm crying. I could call them at any time, any moment, any time, especially also my mentors, those mentors that I have. I'm not even sure how many of them are on here right now. I know Dr. Sharon McQueen is one of my mentor, and she's the person who I can call anytime, and she would provide me with all the resources that I need in order to be the woman who I am today. One of the things that I also walked with every day, I was born poor and I will not die poor. And I'm not talking about financial poor, but because I didn't have education, I didn't have much. Sometimes I went to school without having shoes on my feet, and I remember those. So, and I know my mom and my dad did not have an education. So I'm making sure that everybody who come after me, because I'm the first one, will obtain a college or even an high school education. One of the things that I can even recall while I was graduating, during my graduation from Lone Star, I think in 2005, the speaker for that day asked this question: what if someone tell you the day you graduate, that's the day you're gonna die? What would you do? And the answer was, at the end of the day, I was there. And as I said, it was just the time when I lost my spouse. I cried through the entire graduation. And one thing I walked away with was, okay, the day I die, at least you have a degree to say that you have something that some other persons do not have. So students, while you're here, I want for you to walk away with, if something should happen today, what will you be? What would you want to be? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Like for me, I would like to touch as many lives as I am, and maybe that's the reason why I'm end up in teaching, and I forever try to touch lives, not only students, but also my colleagues and all my friends. So continue to be, especially the females on here, continue to be that support for your other sister, and we're gonna end this bias and inequality among gender. Thank you for everything.
Beautiful. Thank you. Send some emojis to show your appreciation to Dr. McDonald for responses to the questions. We're going to move over to Dr. P as she gives us her response to this final question. So what's in your affirmation? Yeah, what's in your box?
So what's in my box is a lot of hope. I have learned that nothing can stop me. I have learned that there is a destiny for each of us, no matter the side trips along the way. What is meant for you is still for you. I have learned that when you are strong, help somebody. I have learned that when you have something, share. I have learned that when you are in happiness, comfort somebody. Every day is an opportunity to give of yourself. We exist because we are here to give. We are here to do a purpose. And when things get hard, and you're running low on strength and hope and encouragement, ask for help. I've had a difficult year, and I've asked for help, and my colleagues, my dear colleagues, have helped me out. I couldn't have made it to this point if it were not for the help and comfort and kindness of others. When you're low, ask for help. Don't feel embarrassed or ashamed. Just ask for help. There's no shame in it. There's no weakness in sadness. And when you are strong again, you reach out your hand. I believe that the strength of our elders, their blood flows through us, their tears flow through us. Their strength flows through us for a reason. So when I get a little blue, I just look around and I realize how blessed I am. I have such a wonderful job. I have such a wonderful family. I have an opportunity to make a difference. If you have a chance to raise somebody's hope, if you have a chance to sit next to a student and go over a problem again and again, and then they're like, oh, okay, you just made somebody strong. You just made somebody strong. How wonderful. How blessed you are to make somebody else strong, to make somebody else feel good. I can't imagine how Dr. Joanna Thomas-Smith is able to contain herself, because I know how much hope she has given me, and that hope that day lasted for decades. You don't know what somebody else is going through. A touch on their back, a hug, wipe away someone's tears, just hold someone's hand, help them. You don't need a PhD to love. All it takes is just give of your heart, of your mind, in a sincere way to whoever crosses your path. Give of yourself, give encouragement. At the end of the day, if what you do from love gives strength and hope for someone to go forward, that is the goal. My toolbox is full of hope, and I've got plenty to share.
Thank you so much, Dr. P. Everybody just let her feel appreciated for sharing her perspective on all the questions. Actually, very inspiring. Thank you so much. And we're going to move over to Miss Anguna now for her perspective to hear what's in your toolbox.
So yeah, I would say my toolbox has always been God. And because coming from a complicated family and coming from a strict culture, and my father having 2 wives and 15 kids or more in the same house, earning $300 a month, there was no way that was only him. And we all got the chance to go to school. We all got the chance to graduate, and I know that was God every single time and every single moment. So I don't know how many believers are here, but I would say He is always there. God is always there, and He has always been there for me. And yeah, that is in my toolbox. There is nothing else in my toolbox than God. Yeah.
Beautiful. And I think with having God as in your toolbox, you have everything. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Anguna, for sharing. I don't know how old you are, but just letting you know that you are very brilliant. And I could just tell from just how you answered the questions. Really appreciate everybody's input. And we're going to go over to Mrs. Pegram now so that she could tell us what's in her toolbox.
In my toolbox is definitely God. I live my life knowing that everything that I go through, everything that I experience is a testimony. And I strongly believe that our testimonies are not to be just written down in journals or stored away in our heart. Our testimonies are meant to be shared so that someone that is silently going through what we've been through can get some encouragement of how we got through it. Because every testimony has a brighter day. It's a rainbow at the end of every testimony. And if we keep that to yourself, and I feel like if I stop and I fail and I don't get back up, then I miss out on a chance to be one of God's vessels to help someone down the road. And I think your testimony allows you to be a vessel and live out your purpose of helping other women. So that's what's in my toolbox, is just to know that I can't stop. And I try to live my life by a quote by Booker T. Washington that says, do a common thing in an uncommon way. So even if I have a podcast, I try to make it different than all the other podcasts. Even if I'm another doctoral student in a PhD program, I try to make my experience different, because you never know who you may come across. And my one other thing in my toolbox is loving all women. I used to be very scared and timid to talk to women because that catty stereotype that we have. But over the last 2 years, I've been very open in approaching women and just random conversations. Yesterday, I met a woman in the voting line, and we looked at each other like, we're gonna be best friends. I said, yes. So you just have to live your life and don't take yourself so seriously, and know that, like everybody has said, whatever your spiritual awareness is, whoever that person is for you, know that they have your back and God has our back.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. Pegram. Everybody just let her feel welcome too. We're appreciative of your input tonight. And thank you, everybody. The panelists, they were awesome, right? Let's just send some emojis so that they know that they were awesome. Really relatable stories. And we are very much appreciative of that. So we are going to open the floor just to the audience. If you have any questions, we can take at least 3 or 4 questions based on time before we continue with what else we have. So anybody have any question, you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself and ask your question.
I don't have a question. I have a remark.
Okay.
First of all, you guys are amazing. I'm just so happy that I had a chance to tune in and to see your faces and see your names and hear the responses. I mean, it's just you enrich Prairie View A&M University in a major way. I just wish that everybody could have seen you and could have heard you this evening. So I guess a challenge to the leadership, Ms. Tilly and Mr. King and everybody else, the challenge is to expand this sort of thing and to make sure as we get through this pandemic and we start having more have a chance for face-to-face stuff, that we'll have programs that will expose this diversity of women and ideas and experiences and whatever. And I really appreciate everything that you guys have said. And I think there's a song that I listen to. I like to sometimes listen to country western music. My late husband, who's been gone almost 4 years now, but he liked country western music. And there's a song, I can't think of the guy, the singer's name, but it's something. If you have, they think the title is something like, "If You Have a Chance, Take It." And what he does in that, so in fact, this guy is at the rodeo this time too. He says that, you think about you haven't talked to your mother in 3 or 4 days. You look at a number, you need to call her, but when you get a chance, you'll do it. Then he goes on and talks about that old car you're gonna help your grandpa to restore, but you'll get to it one of these days. And his point is that if you have a chance, you better take it because it will move away. And he says, a dream will not chase you back. A dream will not chase you back. So if you got a dream, you better chase it and catch it and do it right, do it. And so I thought about that as Marilyn was talking, because the fact that you can't put off, you have to strike while the iron is hot. Don't say, well, one day, maybe whatever. All you'll end up with is a big old barrel full of regrets. And that doesn't make for a very happy life. So my advice to you guys is to keep on keeping on and to take opportunities as they come. Do not be fearful. Take a chance. And as I say, a dream will not chase you back. So pursue your dreams in a timely fashion.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Thomas Smith. Anybody else that have any remarks or a question before we move on?
I wanted to ask if any of my students, if they were comfortable to share, do you have any doubts? Are you going through any challenges? Do you have any need of encouragement? How are you doing? Are you okay? Are you having any frustrations?
All right. I hope that if they do, they will reach out to you, Dr. P, because I'm sure you'd be of good help to them. Maybe they're waiting to talk to you outside of the meeting. All right, so we're gonna, since we have no questions or any other comments, we're gonna move on to Let's just appreciate the panelists one more time, because they did an awesome job. Very inspiring and real. So thank you guys again. And we're going to move on to Sion Scott. She's going to talk to us a little bit about the information as it relates to the Women's Center and resources on campus. So let's make her feel welcome as she shares.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sion Scott. I am a RSVP student advocate / student prevention volunteer. The Relationship and Sexual Violence Program is basically a part of the Women's Center at Prairie View University. RSVP provides advocacy services to student survivors of sexual assault, dating domestic violence, and stalking. RSVP also offers trauma-informed and survivor-centered training to the campus community and facilitates prevention education to the student body. We fight for the rights of survivors of relationship and sexual violence and make sure that their voices are heard and that they are treated with respect. The program manager, student advocate, Ms. Hansen, who could not make it this evening, but please stop by the Women's Center in the May Hall to see her if you would like more information or if you would like to share something very important to her. Also, there is a support group for female students called the Sista to Sista women's group facilitated by Dr. Duncan, the Director of Student Counseling Services and the Women's Center. They meet every Tuesday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and the Women's Center offers a variety of programs. But because of COVID, most of the programs are at a standstill, but please stop by the Women's Center to find out more information. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Scott. Thank you so much. All right, so we just want to show recognition right now for everybody who was a part of the planning committee of this beautiful event. If you're here, I want you to feel special and know that what you did was powerful, and just to continue being a part of committees like this. So there is, of course, the chair, Miss Tilly. Please just make her feel special. She's such a good person to work with. It's always a pleasure speaking with her and working with her. There's also Dr. Mcdonald who was on the committee. There's also Dr. P. I was on the committee. I know there was Dr. Chelsea. I'm not sure if she's here or not. I saw her earlier, but maybe she's not here. There was also Sashana Ellington, who is a doctoral student in Juvenile Justice Department. Thank you so much. There's also myself, who was on the committee, and I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody, Miss Tilly. There was also Rukita. Yeah, I think Rukita is here. I saw her. She was also on the committee, and I don't remember who else. If I'm missing anybody, Miss Tilly, just remind me so that they could feel welcome or feel
Dr.
appreciated.
Morton, she was also on the
Dr.
committee.
Morton.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Dr. Morton. Thank you. Yes, you're here tonight. Thank you for serving on the committee. Dr.
Sule.
Dr. Sule. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dr. Sule. I just don't remember everyone, but thank you to everybody who served on the committee. This was a blessing, and I really hope that everyone learned something. And we are going to just take the final remarks from Dr. Thomas Smith. We are just so touched that so many of the ladies spoke about her, and it just seems like she has left a legacy. And I just think that it would be right. Ms. Tilly also agrees that she just gives us the final remarks so we could all have a good night and good week by extension. So if you don't mind, Dr. Smith, please just give us the honors.
Oh, wow, boy, this is a surprise. Wow. Well, as I said before, I think you guys are doing, this is wonderful. I think one of the weaknesses that we have, not just at Prairie View, but in our society, in our world, is lack of communication, lack of sharing, just not enough substantive sharing of ourselves, our ideas, our dreams. And of course, we heard also not enough fearlessness, not enough willingness to reach out and to really find resources. I think that the most important thing about an education is learning how to communicate and learning how to use resources effectively. And this kind of a program centering on women, centering on humanity, is a great start. It's a great investment in the whole matter of sharing and learning and really building something that's that can benefit all of us. So I just want to thank all of you for your committee. Your committee's done a great job. You pulled a wonderful panel together, and I don't know, I probably missed. I don't know if Dr. McDonald gave an address before we started. Probably so. I missed that. Is it archived, Ms. Tilly? Can I hear it? Can I play it back?
Yes, ma'am. It's recorded.
Oh wow! Oh wow! So I'm happy because I was so worried after I heard her. I thought, man, I'd love to hear what she had to say. I know it was powerful. So thank you so much. And anything that I can ever do for any of you, some of you I know, a good number of you I don't know. I'm just so happy that I got to see your names and see faces. And so I feel like I know more of you now. And if anything I can do to be of service to you, to support you, just reach out. Because whatever woman's been through, for the most part, I've been through some of it. Yes, I've been through some of it. Yes. So thank you so much. And it's a great program, Ms. McIntosh. You did a great job of serving as the MC. Yeah, you moved those questions. You got everybody going. Yes, very good. So I will listen to the recording. And I thank you for welcoming me to this session. Good night.
Thank you so much. All right, go ahead and break biases, everyone, and have a good night.
All right.
Take care. Thank you for joining.
Oh, you're welcome.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.